It was a really interesting year. I did like doing an IDP league. I had never done one before. I, for the most part, liked having a 2-week playoff for each playoff matchup. But Jackson, Mr. Commissioner, I don't like going to week 18, man. I really don't.
I set it up with the exact settings, basic settings, and we just threw it together. If you don't like it, we got to address this stuff before the season starts.
That's what I'm
Which we
doing
will.
right now. That's before the
Okay.
season starts.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
the
Do you
way
want-
too early fantasy football talk.
Welcome to the Circus Catch. I'm always up for the challenge.
Are you kidding me? Guess who called that one?
I am dubbed the Houston player hater. I don't have time to believe.
You got butthurt.
What is he thinking? Is he the greatest of all time?
It is like magic.
Welcome back to the podcast. It has been a few weeks. We are excited to be back with you guys. Happy New Year to everybody. I've got Jackson. I've got Austin. Guys, welcome to the show.
Woo-hoo, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So, I do want to apologize to everybody. I do need to make a public apology to you guys who are Denver Broncos fans. I, a few weeks ago, told you it was not time to panic when you should have been panicking the whole time. Let's go ahead and start with the game that happened Monday night, the FBS championship game. Michigan put the beat down on Washington.
I am surprised because of what I saw Mr. Penix doing last week against Texas Longhorns, how he was just throwing dimes all over the field. And then you see what happened in this, that the Michigan Wolverines had a better front four that were able to put pressure and get Penix out of his rhythm. And then also just the Wolverines being able to just ground and pound their way. And while it looked like it was going to be a close game, there were a couple throws that Penix had that just didn't make it. And at the end of the day, the Wolverines won undefeated, as Coach Harbaugh said. This is what they planned for. This is how they couldn't write any better script for it. This is how it went. But I will just give my flowers to the Wolverines for just being able to get Penix out of his rhythm and actually dominate and just continue to do what Wolverines have done all season and just rely on that ground game and play great defense.
As Coach Harbaugh would say, who has it better than us? Nobody does right now, obviously, as they're national champions amid all of the controversy that happened throughout the regular season. The biggest thing that I saw from that game is missed opportunities, especially for Washington, because they had plenty of opportunities throughout that game to make it a great football game. We're talking about a big-time completion, wide open to Rome Odunze on the sideline on fourth down. Would have been an easy touchdown, change the momentum of the football game. Penix overthrows him. You got to give Michigan credit for that front four, like Jackson was stating. The biggest thing coming into that game was, can Washington score against this really talented defense? And can Washington stop Michigan? And I don't think either one of those things happened. I mean, Michigan dominated up front. Washington could not run the ball, and running back very banged up and hurt. Could not get the play action game going because there wasn't any running game at all. And Penix just never had any time to throw the ball and find those targets that he was doing against Texas. And then Michigan's offense, J.J. McCarthy, everybody was talking about how he's going to be a top 10 pick. He didn't have to do a single thing in this game. He went 10 for 18, 140 passing yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Mind you, he had a couple of big scampers on the ground with his legs, but he really didn't have to do anything because of the explosive rushing attack from Michigan. You got to give them their flowers, just like Jackson said. Dominant performance in a national championship game, and I think the committee got it right. They were the number one team in the nation.
Michigan was running the ball effectively. Washington looked like they might have had something going after that first quarter. Looked like their defense had kind of caught on, but at the end of the game, Michigan couldn't be stopped. What else can you say? So it's no secret. Last year, I missed the playoff party. My Rams were an abysmal 5-12. I turned it around a little bit this year, and guess what, guys? I'm in the playoff party. You're in the playoff party. You're in the playoff party. We're all in the playoff party this year. The Texans are in. The Steelers are in. Jesse's Bills are in. Richard's coming on later. His 49ers are in. We're all happy right now. Right now, we're all happy. We'll see what happens after wildcard weekend. But let's analyze some of these games, guys. Let's start down where you're at, Jackson. Let's start in Houston. Browns-Texans this Saturday. Go ahead and give us your thoughts on this game.
It's football time in Houston, and we're ready to play. If you know the song for the Houston Texans, they actually play that. It's football time, and with the twang and everything. Yes. But first playoff game at NRG since 2019. Rookie head coach, rookie quarterback. And remember, I did not hit that panic button. I was not going to hit that panic button because the Texans exceeded expectations. They've blown all the expectations out of the water. Even if the Browns do end up winning this game, because the Browns did beat the Texans on Christmas Eve, but you didn't have CJ, you didn't have Will Anderson, and you still had some beat up pieces on the Texan side of things. But still, it's going to be a good game because we're actually going to see how well CJ is going to be playing, and he's ready. He's got that chip on his shoulder, especially being on a specific show. They said that you have 0 chances. He's like, all right, I'm going to say 27-24 Texans.
Ooh, tight one.
Like I said, it's going to be close.
Joe Flacco has been playing some really inspiring football. It's a great story. I mean, come on. The guy was sitting on his couch. He was throwing the football with his dad and his brother, could not get any workouts or anybody. Gets the phone call. He's playing out of his mind for a good Cleveland Browns team with arguably one of the best defenses in the entire league. I'm not going to say that the Texans have no shot, but I don't think the magic quite ends yet. I think that we will potentially see a Browns-Ravens matchup in the second round, which would be phenomenal. Joe Flacco back in Baltimore would be insane. I got the Browns winning this one. A little bit of a lower score, tighter score. I think that defense of the Browns is really good. 21-17 Browns.
I'm going to side with Austin on this one. I'm sorry, Jackson. It's a very, very, very good matchup. I think both of these teams are playing extremely well right now. And so I think it's going to suck to see if one of these teams have to lose. Yeah, to Austin's point, this Browns defense is stunning. They're one of the best in the league. You look at Myles Garrett, who is the catalyst of that team. 14 sacks on the year, 4 forced fumbles. On the offensive side, you've got Joe Flacco, who's just been on a tear. Even in the one game that he lost, he was really, really solid. And he came back and has won every game that he's played in since. We're not counting last week since that was Driscoll that was starting. But the biggest shocker to me is that they've been able to do all of this without superstar Nick Chubb. Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, that tandem has worked no problem. You see Amari Cooper getting loose. Maybe the biggest surprise on that offense, though, has been the emergence of David Njoku besides Flacco. We already knew he was good, but he has taken it to an entirely different level. So for that reason, I think that CJ Stroud is great, and I wouldn't be surprised if he could win this game for them, but I'm taking the Browns in this one.
Score.
What's your score?
Again, I think it's going to be a tough one. I think it's going to be close. I'll say 21-18. The next game on Saturday is going to be the Dolphins and the Chiefs. The Tyreek revenge game that we're all excited for.
I'm not sure if you guys have heard, but the weather is supposed to be a feels-like temperature of 9 below 0 on Saturday. Dolphins don't swim in that kind of weather, do they? They definitely don't play in it, that's for sure, and it is going to be freezing. The Chiefs have not lived up to expectations all year long. They will figure out how to get it done at home. Tua Tagovailoa just blew one of the biggest games of the season at home against Buffalo. Chance to get the 2 seed in a home game. Well, this is what you get when you lose a big game like that. You go on the road to Kansas City in one of the most hostile environments. Good luck trying to communicate with your offensive line in Kansas City in that freezing cold game. They've got to be able to run the football. Will Mostert play? Will H.M. be successful? Who knows? I don't think so. Chiefs get it done. It's an ugly football game. It's a weather-style football game. I'm going to go real low here. We're going to go 16-10 Kansas City Chiefs.
I think the Dolphins are going to have a huge challenge on their hands going to that cold weather and playing. You can't really replicate that when you're in South Beach. There's no way to do that. And on top of that, they're banged up. You know, Jalen Waddle, Achan's banged up, Ramsey, Xavier Howard. Even Tyreek is not a full go right now. So for that reason, for me, I'm taking Kansas City at home. Look, the Chiefs are not perfect by any means, and they left a lot to be desired on the field this year. But last week was probably the best thing that happened to them. They were locked into that 3 seed, so they rested. They rested a lot of their starters. Even Travis Kelce, who could have got some incentives, was rested. And I think it's more important for him that he be ready to go for this game. The Dolphins are reeling. Chiefs are only semi-reeling. I don't really like the direction either of these teams had, but it can be a get-right game for either one of them. I'm going to trust Patrick Mahomes in this situation at home. Patrick Mahomes is a different animal in January and February. 11-3 playoff record. So I'll take the Chiefs over the Dolphins as well. Score 21-14.
This season, it's been the Chiefs defense that have been keeping them in games. Obviously, we've had those discussions about the wide receiver core for Kansas City and just the frustration with Pat Mahomes. It's just, you're wondering how well they're going to prepare for this matchup, especially like Andy Reid, Nagy, Reid. What are they going to do? And I just see that this defense has been keeping them in a lot of games. And I'm going to keep it pretty low as well. I'm just going to say 16-10 as well.
On to Sunday morning. We start the day with Steelers and Bills. I think this is kind of low-key a good matchup. I don't think a lot of people are seeing it that way. I think a lot of people are just seeing a 2 and a 7, and they're saying that it's going to be a blowout. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I do think that Josh Allen is obviously a huge threat to take over this game. But as much of a threat as he is also that big of a liability. I don't know. I just don't see it happening. I have to take the Bills in this one. Sorry, Austin. I had to upset either you or Jesse, and I'm going to take Jesse's side in this one. So I think the Bills come out on top. I don't think it's particularly close. I think it's probably around, let's say, 30-20 as a final score. But the Bills need to play clean. If they don't play clean, I think that Mason Rudolph and the boys can take advantage. Let's go ahead and go to Jackson.
Death, taxes, Josh Allen turning the ball over, or death and taxes, Josh Allen putting the team on his back and playing hero ball. I don't know. It's so Jekyll and Hyde when it comes to Josh Allen. Oh man, I really can't tell which version of Josh Allen we're going to get, because they were utilizing, especially whenever the Bills won against the Cowboys a couple weeks ago, utilizing the ground game and just running up and down the field on Dallas. That's what you're hoping you're going to get. But I don't know. I do see the Steelers not having Watt is going to be very, very difficult for that defense to put a stop. And I'm just going to go with the Bills taking it from the Steelers. It's going to be 27-10.
Najee Harris looks like Najee Harris. He's been running the football very well over the last couple games, but they still don't have a shot. They're not going to get it done. Mason Rudolph, I'm sorry, not a believer. There's no way that he's going to go. I'm not going to say there's zero chance, but I don't think that there's a large chance that he's going to go and get this done on the road. Do they have great weapons? Yes. I mean, has he been able to find Pickens and kind of exploit those matchups a little bit? Deontay Johnson, big touchdown last week or a week prior. Yeah. Can they make it competitive? Of course they can. Just because they don't have TJ Watt doesn't make their defense awful. They still have a really good defense that can keep it tight. And with a quarterback who loves to make bad decisions and turn the ball over, that's what could be the difference in making it a tight football game. So, although I don't think the Steelers will pull off the upset, I think it'll be tighter than you guys think. Do I trust Mason Rudolph or Josh Allen? To be honest, I don't know. I'm going to go 24-17, closer than you guys think. Bills get the victory.
Well, if the Steelers do beat the Bills, it would be the first time in NFL history that a 7 seed has beaten a 2 seed. The 7 seed is not very old, obviously, but it has not happened yet. Let's talk about the other 2-7 matchup. Let's talk about the Packers and the Cowboys. Jackson, I'll let you start with this one.
Ooh, Mike McCarthy going up against his old team, the team that he won a Super Bowl with, and then the guys in Dallas are hungry. Jerry is hungry for a championship. He's riding. He's going to stick. Well, we have Dak Prescott. We have CeeDee Lamb. We have Tony Pollard. Micah Parsons. Well, how about them Cowboys? Yes, the Cowboys are going to destroy. I'm going to say this. They are going to destroy the Packers in this matchup. I don't think that while Jordan Love he's at fun stat. Jordan Love ranks second in the NFC with touchdown passes. I think he had 32 on the year. Obviously, Dak Prescott was the one in the NFC who holds the most touchdown passes. But that's something to look forward to is you have both these quarterbacks that have thrown a lot of touchdowns. So it could potentially be a high scoring game, but I'm still thinking that the defense that the Cowboys have are going to actually prepare a lot better for the matchup against the Packers. And the Cowboys are actually going to get to the divisional. Now that's another story. We'll have that for another week, but I'm going to say Cowboys 35, Packers 18.
Yeah, how about them Cowboys? I don't think this game's going to be close. I do believe in Jordan Love. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's proven a lot over the last 5 games, and he will be a good quarterback for the Packers for the rest of however long his career is, the next couple of years. We'll be talking a lot about Jordan Love, but this is not the matchup for them. The Cowboys have not lost a game in Dallas all season. They have the longest home winning streak over the last 2 years in the NFL. They do get it done inside of Jerry's world. Dak Prescott said he wouldn't have 10 interceptions this year. He's got 9. Prove the haters wrong. Just saying, he's playing a lot better at quarterback. Pollard actually had a really good game. Starting to look like the running back they expected him to be. And CeeDee Lamb looks like an absolute monster right now. That Dak to CeeDee connection looks fantastic. Inside of Cowboys Stadium, I agree. This one won't be close. I don't even think the Packers get to 18. I think it's going to be I think the Cowboys will actually control a lot of the time of possession in this game. Their defense is very strong up front and very strong on the back end as well. I'm going to say Cowboys only get to 28 points and the Packers get to 13.
What I'm noticing about some of these stats for the Cowboys, though, is that they break away on big plays. CeeDee Lamb, a lot of the stats that he's had over the last few weeks are just because there was a slight slip on defense. You look at the game against the Detroit Lions, 99-yard touchdown, basically, slip by the defense. So that adds to the lore that is CeeDee Lamb this year. I do like Jordan Love. I like the young explosive core, especially Jaden Reed. He's been playing out of his mind lately. But the offense is hot and the offense is cold. We saw that against Chicago. It was an outdoor game. Offense was passable. It was enough to get by. To me, though, this just seems like one of these trap games for the Cowboys that they're not going to take seriously. So for me, and I know this isn't going to be a very popular opinion, I might be in the 1% on this one. I'm taking the Packers in the upset.
Whoa!
I think the Packers are going to come in there.
Breaking news!
And there's a lot that I doubt with Dallas, and there's a lot that I love about Green Bay. The Cowboys, yes, they haven't lost a game at home this year. They should have lost that game against Detroit. One of the teams they beat at home, the Rams, they played early on while they were injured before they got hot. The other 2 wins that they have against teams that have above 500 records are the Eagles and the Dolphins. And both of those teams were spiraling out of control when they beat them. So I don't think that Dallas has necessarily had a quality win over a good team this year. I'll take the Packers, and I'll be the only one that dies on that hill, other than Packers fans, I guess. All right, let's get to the best game of the weekend. Rams and Lions. And I say that not only as a Rams fan. I say that because of the narrative of this game. Austin, I believe it is your turn. I'll go ahead and let you start with this one.
Well, yeah, speaking of narrative, Jordan, the NFL script writers really got this one right, huh? Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit to face off against the Lions, the team that, he dominated with for so many years. I mean, I remember those days with Megatron. So fun to watch. Love those Detroit Lion days, even though they were awful. It's still fun to watch football, but it's going to be a phenomenal game. The Rams, arguably one of the most dangerous teams in the postseason. They are playing really hot right now. Puka Nacua, most rookie receptions in NFL history. Pretty insane what he's doing, what they found there, an elite talent right there at wide receiver to go opposite or inside of Cooper Kupp in the slot. Sometimes wherever you want to put him, he can play anywhere. The rushing attack looks really good for the Rams. Detroit, not a super believer in how they've played over the last like 5-6 weeks. Yeah, they should have won the game against the Cowboys, but they didn't play that great against, Dallas in that game. I like this is my upset pick. Based on, the brackets and the numbers. Do I trust Jared Goff or Stafford more? I'm going with Stafford on this one. I like the Rams. I do like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Love the rookie running back and second, Montgomery, and they've got a solid offense in Detroit. Don't get me wrong, but we're going with Stafford. I trust Stafford. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. I like it. I like what I see out of the Rams. Tight ball game, 24-21, LA Rams.
I love Jared Goff. To this day, I love Jared Goff. And so this is really, really hard for me to put all of that out of my head and just stick focused on the game. That being said, I think the Rams are going to win this game, and I don't think it's necessarily going to be close. So Stafford's first game back in Detroit. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of reception they give him, because he deserves their unwavering, undying love and an ovation, but it's a playoff game. So are they going to do that? Probably, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. It is these teams' second meeting since the Goff for Stafford trade. They did play in Los Angeles previous to this. Both of these offenses, though, they're stacked. So the Lions, you've got Jared Goff. You've got, like you said, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You've got the running back tandem of Gibbs and Montgomery that's just lights out, that blows everybody up every single week. But on the other side, you've got Matthew Stafford. You've got the veteran Cooper Kupp. You've got the rookie sensation Puka Nacua. By the way, don't sell him short. Not only the all-time receptions leader, but the all-time yards leader for a rookie as well. And then you've got Kyron Williams, right? The second coming of Todd Gurley, who just came out of nowhere, the guy from Notre Dame that is taking the league by storm. He's going to be a first-round pick in fantasy next year, by the way, standard or PPR. Rams are on a tear, right? 7-1 in their last 8 games. The only loss was to Baltimore in overtime. The Lions, for some reason, played their starters last week. Got a lot of them injured, including Sam Laporta, the rookie tight end sensation. I feel like with this one, Campbell calls plays with his heart all the time. McVay is a little bit more balanced. He can call with his heart, but a lot of times he uses his incredibly intelligent brain that he has. So for me, Rams are going to win this one. And I think it's going to be pretty high scoring just based on how explosive those offenses are. I think we're going to be looking at 34-28.
A lot of love for the Rams. I actually am going to be sticking with the Detroit Lions. I want the Lions. I want this story to continue. I remember last season, before the year was over, I was like, the Lions are the real deal. They're actually going, I think I said they were going to win the division, which they did. Not trying to say like, oh, I got this good take right here, but it does hurt losing Laporta. But you have the tandem of Montgomery and Gibbs. The offenses, you're right. Both of you are right. These offenses are great. It is going to be most likely high scoring, even just very, very close. I think that Stafford is going to get the much needed love, especially no matter what. I know a guy that lives in the Michigan area, and whenever the Rams were in the Super Bowl, they're like, we're happy for Matt Stafford. We wanted to win a Super Bowl, because they felt how bad those Detroit Lions are. Like, we wanted the Rams to win Super Bowl so we could feel like that was our guy and he got a Super Bowl. So the love is there. And I think that this run for the Lions is going to continue the aggressiveness that Dan Campbell and those Lions play with. So I'm going to keep with these Lions. I'm going to say 28-27.
Eagles and Buccaneers. Yeah, not the game that any of us are really looking forward to. The Eagles are spiraling out of control more than any of these other teams that I've mentioned. They're going down so badly. It's at a terrifying rate. 1-6 in their last 7 games. And even when they were 10-1, people were suspicious. They're like, this is the worst 10-1 team we've ever seen. They have not been playing. It was, and they haven't been playing well all year. It's not even just a recent thing. It's been the whole entire year. There's a lot of question marks about the Eagles. I question Nick Sirianni's leadership in this time as well. all the press conferences that he's done, he said some very odd and peculiar things that you don't really see, or you don't want to see from the leader of your team. That being said, the Buccaneers are obviously not a great team either. So this game actually might be pretty competitive, but I do like how scrappy the Buccaneers are, how good they are in games that people don't think they're going to be good in. I honestly do think that this game is going to be decided by Baker's health status. Is Baker Mayfield's ribs going to affect him in this game? If he can play through the pain, I do see the Buccaneers taking this one. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Buccaneers win this game 17-14.
I didn't have this on my 2023 bingo card. I did not have the Buccaneers winning. I thought it was going to be the Saints taking it. That's okay. But just the fact that Baker Mayfield came in and actually played some great ball, and you have two great receivers with Godwin and Mike Evans, you have the right pieces for that offense, and you still have some pieces of that defense from your Super Bowl run. But the fact that you only put up 9 points against the Carolina Panthers last week, what is wrong with you? I'm still, even though they have been labeled frauds, I'm still going with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm going to gladly give the Buccaneers 9, and I'm going to give the Eagles 14.
The Eagles secondary might be one of the worst in NFL history. Like the worst. They're so bad. Like they're awful. Is big play Slay going to play? Who knows? Doesn't even matter. They can't cover anybody. Baker will find his receivers 4 touchdowns. I think this game will be very competitive. I think it's a get-right game for the Eagles. This is their one shot because God forbid if they lose this football game, you thought they had locker room problems before. All you know what, HE hockey sticks is about to break loose up in that locker room. I don't think that they're going to lose this game. This is a game that they can grind it out and find a way to win. I do think they will trail at some point in the second half, but they will come back and play as long as A.J. Brown is obviously healthy and a full go, as well as Devontae Smith. They rested a lot of starters last week. All had some injuries as well. Goddard's back. I still believe in the offense. Yes, Jalen Hurts has not been playing well at all, but this is your opportunity. Go into Tampa Bay, get a playoff victory, get your bodies right, get your minds right, get the locker room right, and bring this thing back into brotherly love and the brotherly shove and everything that Philadelphia is about. I got the Eagles winning this football game. They do find a way to get it done. A little more high scoring than you think, because I'll tell you what, the Eagles secondary is awful. And let's go 28-24. Philadelphia finds a way to get it done in Tampa Bay.
Welcome back, everyone. And now for a man who needs no introduction if you watched us last season. He hosted a couple episodes with us. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Richard Tucker. Richard, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, it's great to be back, man. I'm excited.
Great day to be a sports fan. Great day to be both a Niners and Heat fan. I do want to get into that with you right now. So you are a San Francisco 49ers fan. You are obviously a San Francisco Giants fan, as your hat would indicate.
Yes, sir.
You have a particular disdain, though, for the Golden State Warriors. Why not the Warriors and why the Heat is my question.
Oh, man, it goes back. Honestly, when I was a kid, Dwayne Wade was coming up, as a young player, and I just love the way he handled himself on and off the court. I think that's one of the things that has always stuck with me is just being humble, and seeing how he talked to the media and treated people is kind of one of the reasons why I loved him as a person, as a player. But his play style, I just loved how aggressive he was. And then I fell in love with the team, because I want to say, 11 years old. So it was definitely like basketball was still new to me. And so I fell in love with the Miami Heat. And I didn't really have any hate for the Warriors until recently. It seems like the fans forget how bad they used to be, in those early years.
Golden State Warriors, established 2015.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go ahead and switch gears over to football now. Let's talk about these top 2 seeds in the NFL. The teams that get a bye week this week. Your 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens. I'll start with your Niners. We at the beginning of the year, a lot of people were talking about a quarterback controversy in San Francisco, possibly Brock Purdy, possibly Sam Darnold. Obviously, before Trey Lance got traded, people were saying, well, why not give him a shot? Pretty sure you guys went with the right guy, right?
Oh man. Yeah, no, honestly, when the Niners went and picked him up as Mr. Irrelevant, that right there to me said something very loud about Trey Lance and about Brock Purdy. That the Niners weren't and I want to say they weren't stuck on Trey Lance as a player. They weren't and with Brock Purdy, he must have showed them something. Like if you had the last pick in the draft, you can pick anyone and no one's going to say anything. But they went out and got a quarterback.
You hear a lot of noise about system quarterback. He's got this weapon. He's got Ayuk. He's got Debo. He's got McCaffrey. He's got on the other side Bosa and all these guys. But the fact is, you don't get the job done unless you've got the right guy behind center. So I would say he's as much in the conversation as anyone.
And again, like I've heard that argument, and my argument to that is Jimmy Garoppolo was nowhere near being talked about in the MVP conversation, and he's had the same team, and you can see it. I believe Brock Purdy is ranked number 1 in QBR. He's top 5 in completion percentage. He's top 5 in touchdowns, and he sat out this last week. And I can make the argument he would have been number 2, or number 3 in passing touchdowns. And so it's one of those things that, yeah, he has all these weapons, but he's making the team better. And that's kind of like, again, I hate this comparison. But Tom Brady, like he didn't wow you with athleticism. He made the right throws. He had a great defense. He had some great players that he's played with over the years, Randy Moss being one of them, and they set a record for passing touchdowns, but Brock Purdy, he's in his second year, and you're talking about him QBR number 1, and it's unheard of. And that's kind of why I don't like the whole, well, he has weapons, he does this. I mean, how many guys are doing what he's doing with being in their second year? Like it's unheard of. And I dislike that argument.
One last question on the Niners. Who would you see of the other 6 NFC playoff teams as potentially the biggest roadblock from getting to the Super Bowl?
Oh man, I hate to say it, but one of these teams is kind of just sneaking in there a little bit. It's the Los Angeles Rams. It's one of those teams. I don't know if many of you remember the New York Giants got in and knocked out the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. The Rams, they're getting hot at the right time. They got a great, young receiver coming in, breaking records against my 49ers, even though we tried to stop him. It's one of those teams that, if you don't take them serious, they're gonna make you pay.
All right. And I know you're not just saying that because I'm the host, right? That's legitimately what you think.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. Good.
I can't stand the Rams.
All right. Let's go ahead and we'll switch over to the AFC side now. Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens. Kind of the same deal in the offseason. There was a lot of talk about the quarterback because this quarterback wanted the bag. He wanted all the money. Deservedly so. Obviously, we see he had an MVP caliber year this year. Right now, the favorite to win MVP. But in the offseason, I look at a team like Atlanta that could have gone after them, and they said, no, we're good. We got Desmond Ridder. Fast forward through the season, firing of the head coach, you still aren't utilizing Kyle Pitts. You still aren't utilizing Drake London. You're definitely not utilizing Bijan Robinson. Why do you think nobody gave Lamar the respect that he deserved this offseason?
I think it was one of those things that you kind of take a risk on. You pay this guy a bunch of money, and he comes out and doesn't play the way that we've seen him play before. Give you a scenario: Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson. They go out and pay this guy a bunch of money, and he hasn't really done anything over there. And it's just one of those things that you take a risk, and no one wanted to be wrong. And that was they were scared, and honestly, I mean, the Ravens really saved their season, by making sure that they got him, you know, they got him that contract, because I mean, without Lamar Jackson, you know, like where would they be? You know, we don't know. And again, with the Falcons, you know, being one of those teams that said no, I mean, we just seen that their head coach was fired yesterday, I believe. And I think the last 3 seasons they've been 7-10 is what it was. And I mean, Lamar could have got them over that hump, you know, if he had played the way that he's playing now with the Falcons. I mean, the Falcons could be very much in the playoffs. And I think that these teams, you know, they didn't want to take the chance, and I think it hurt them in the end.
So, what do you attribute their success this season? Obviously, you had Cincinnati as the top dogs the last couple of years. We knew the Ravens were starting to heat up and starting to get good, but they're the number 1 seed overall in the entire NFL. What has attributed to that success this year?
You know, I want to say it's their coach and their defense. I mean, for as long as I can remember, the Ravens have always been known to be a defensive-minded team. And as you can see, they're one of the top defenses in the NFL. And when you have that and a guy like Lamar Jackson who can go out and score points, you're going to be successful. You know, and I definitely believe that their team they've stuck with, you know, their bread and butter, like I said.
Last question before I let you go real quick. Same thing with the Ravens. Who do you see as being their biggest obstacle to run through the AFC to get to the Super Bowl?
I'm glad you asked me that question. Before the Cleveland Browns got Joe Flacco, I said that the Cleveland Browns were my sleeper team. And guess what? They are 11-6. Joe Flacco's out there killing it for them. Their defense, again, I've seen them play the 49ers great. They beat the 49ers. And they were one of those teams that impressed me. And so I went out and said, watch out for Cleveland. And guess what? Joe Flacco, if he gets a chance to knock off the Baltimore Ravens, he's going to do it.
Wow. Can you imagine? That would be insane.
Oh, man.
I want to see that so bad.
Oh, yeah. I would love it. I would love to see that happen.
All right, Richard. Thank you so much for your time and your insight, everybody. This is Richard Tucker, all the way from Northern California. Thank you for stopping by.
Yep. Thank you for having me, man. Have a good one.
Of course. See you soon. Well, guys, we finished our first fantasy football season, and none of us 3 ended up as a champion. But I do need to send congratulations out to Taylor Biggs. So kudos for winning the fantasy football championship, the first one in the Circus Catch League. All right, everybody. From Montana, from Texas, and California, sayonara.
Stay warm, everybody.
Oh, yeah,
Cold's coming.
Arctic air.
Yup.
Can't get through one show without something ridiculous happening at the end.